brightening the wave tops. Plenty of clearance, but the folks on the bridge wouldn't know that. He shot a glance to the pedestrians pointing and gawking, and he chuckled. Folks needed entertainment with the war on. The girders rushed by over his clear canopy. He whooped, pulled back the stick, swung over Alcatraz, and did a neat roll over Treasure Island and the Bay Bridge. Nice day for flying. Strange thing about the San Francisco Bay, autumn was warmer and clearer than summer. Even though Adler had spent the better part of 2 years in California, he still hadn't gotten used to the hills in summer, toasted to tan, not like the green of the Texas hill country. A cheek muscle twitched. Nothing there for him anymore anyway. Adler contacted the control tower at the Hayward Army Airfield and made a smooth landing. After he and the crew chief finished the post-flight check, Adler pulled off his flight helmet and life vest, slung his parachute pack over his shoulder, and strolled toward the equipment shed. Major Morty Shapiro, the squadron commander, ambled toward him, tall and lean and angular. "Good flight? Heard you bounced Cam." "Sure is shootin'." "Mulroney's not happy with you." "Neither's Camacho." Adler sent him a half-smile. Shapiro didn't send even a quarter back. "All right." Adler dipped his head to the side. "But I saw an opportunity and took it. Got in a great deflection shot." "Your specialty?" Shapiro's eyes narrowed. "Pull a muscle?" Shapiro pointed to Adler's chest. He paused, his right hand caressing his left breast pocket as if he'd indeed pulled a muscle. Yes, the scrap remained pinned inside, the fabric that had torn from his fiancée's dress when she'd fallen to her death. Adler rolled his left shoulder. "Reckon I shouldn't have done those extra 40 push-ups in calisthenics this morning." Shapiro glanced behind him toward 2 men in dress uniform crossing the field. "There he is. Paxton, I want you to meet our newest pilot." "Want me to show him the ropes?" Shapiro's gaze slid back to Adler. "Actually, he's an ace. Nick Weston. He flew a tour in the Pacific." "The competition, then." Adler studied the 2 men. Weston was a big man, his chin high, a swagger to his step, a plume of cigarette smoke trailing behind him. Adler had no intention of coming in second again. Not that being first would be easy, with all the hotshot pilots in the 357th. Who's the other fellow? New staff officer, Finelli's the name. Little guy, clipped step, soft about the face. The squadron needed pencil pushers to keep the planes in the air, and Adler would greet him as warmly as the ace. "Captain Nick Weston, I'd like you to meet Lieutenant Adler Paxton." The little guy stuck out his hand. Adler blinked, recovered, and returned the handshake. "Nice to meet you." The man must have stood on tiptoes to meet the 5'4" minimum height for fighter pilots, just as Adler had slouched to meet the 6-foot maximum. Weston's smile was soft, too, but his handshake was good and firm. "Adler, that's an interesting name." "Means eagle." Not only was it true, but it was easier than saying it was his mother's maiden name, given to appease her parents when she died birthing her second son. Weston's dark eyes crinkled around the edges. "Born to fly, huh?" "Sure was." "Good trait in a wingman." "Wingman?" Adler's heart stilled, but jostling for position was part of the game. Wasn't it? It wasn't. Shapiro nodded. "You'll be Weston's wingman. Figured he'd be the right man to teach you to work as a team." A punch to the gut. Wingmen didn't make ace. They were sidekicks, second class, never first. Adler threw a smile. Nothing to be gained from pouting, and he could learn a few tricks from the veteran. "Looking forward to it. The major says you made a name for yourself in the Pacific. Reckon you have some stories." "Sure do." After Shapiro introduced Finelli, the big, swaggering desk jockey, Adler excused himself to return his flight gear to the equipment shed. Weston fell in beside him. "Where are you from, down south?" "Texas, and you?" The man's accent pegged him as a Yankee. "Indiana, prettiest land you've ever seen." Weston waxed on about the farms and the small town where his family ran a feedlot. 3 sisters, 2 brothers, the prettiest wife, and the prettiest baby girl. Fighter pilots loved to talk, and Adler loved to encourage them. He'd tell flying stories of his own to entertain, then toss out questions before things got personal. "How about you?" Weston snugged his cap farther down over his dark hair. "Come from a big family, too?" Out of the sun and into his nightmares. He hadn't talked about his family in over 2 years, and he wasn't